EF20 Online is sponsored by the Climate Council of Greater Kansas City and KKFI 90.1 FM, Kansas City Community Radio. Please welcome your host, Victor Dougherty.
And I would like to, on behalf of the Temple Buddhist Center, good morning, everyone, and welcome. As I'd like to, on behalf of the Temple Buddhist Center and all of the folks here at Unity Temple in the Plaza, would like to wish you a very happy Earth Day, or as some people like to call it, Happy Mother's Day. My name is Victor Dougherty, and today I would like to share with you a very profound meditation known as a 6-element meditation. And so before we begin, I would like for you to go ahead and take a moment to prepare your surroundings, whatever you need to do to create a contemplative, meditative, relaxing environment around you. Maybe have a little glass of water, something near you. Make yourself comfortable. As I always like to tell folks, we kind of work with the Goldilocks rule. If you make yourself too comfortable, you could nod right off. If you make yourself too uncomfortable, then you'll spend your time fidgeting. So the best thing to do is to try to just find an alert position or posture with which you can maintain a little bit of energy as you move into a meditation. So give you that opportunity to do that right now. As we begin to prepare, we will spend approximately 30 minutes today in this meditation. It is a guided meditation, which means I'm going to invite you into the stillness, into meditation, and we'll spend a few moments in what's known as noble silence, but then I will begin the 6-element meditation. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about that. The 6-element practice is a profound contemplation on interconnectedness, impermanence, and insubstantiality. It is one of the most significant insight practices in the Pali Canon. The Pali Canon is the collection of teachings by the Buddha. The Buddha recommended the 6-element meditation as a way of not neglecting wisdom. And it is taught as a technique for developing equanimity and cultivating a deep meditative state. In this 6-element practice, we contemplate in turn the earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness aspect of not only ourselves, but of the earth, connecting the two bodies of matter in form and matter, and realizing the interconnectedness of not only ourselves with the earth, but of all beings and the earth. And again, this is moving from the gross to the subtle, in other words, from the form to the energetic. And this is a practice that can be deeply profound. So again, thank you so much for coming and sharing this practice with me today and adding your energy, adding your presence, and adding your consciousness. Together, all of us this morning can help raise the vibration of the earth itself, of our society and our communities, and in this way serve as sort of a counterbalance, if you will, a counterweight to all of the anxiety, the worry, the anger and frustration that is so prevalent in our society. And so by doing this, you are doing a deep service, not only to yourself, but to the whole sustainability movement, the climate movement, and to the earth herself. All right, so having said all that, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and let's begin with some breathing practices. If you'd like to close your eyes and take the time to go within We're going to begin with 3 conscious breaths. A conscious breath is where we seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, hold that breath for a few moments, and then release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding that breath for just a moment, and now release slowly. As you release, see if you can notice the body relaxing, settling down. The shoulders drop and you sink a little deeper into the chair, the cushion. And a second conscious breath, holding for a moment and releasing slowly. As you release, see if you can also release the busyness of the morning, the going, the doing, the planning, making lists, carrying out activities. Just let all of that dissipate with the breath, moving out in all directions, above, below, in front, behind, and to the sides. And a third conscious breath, holding that breath for just a moment, and release. And now as you release, the invitation is to cultivate spaciousness, to cultivate present moment awareness. This is a very expansive state of being because there's nothing for you to do, nowhere to go, no better person you should be, nothing to add to yourself, nothing to take away. There's just this moment, present moment, perfect moment. And our awareness of this moment is a deep communing with our true nature. Our true nature is not worry, anxiety, anger, frustration, and struggling and striving. Our true nature is vast, open, spacious, and loving. And so now as your breath falls into its natural rhythm, we just cultivate being for a moment. There is the suchness of life, and then there's everything else. We're taking time now to just be. You may find it helpful to do a body scan, beginning at the crown of the head, moving down, relaxing the forehead, unfurrowing the eyebrows, letting the jaw rest easy, the shoulders drop, arms graceful at your side, with your hands resting on your thigh or folded in your lap. Take a moment now to just become aware of the chair or the cushion supporting you, grounding you. Releasing any tension in the lower back, the hips, the thighs, the calves. Let's take a moment to simply feel our feet inside our socks or shoes, or perhaps that point of contact with the earth. Always a sacred point. We kiss the earth with every step we take. And now take a moment to find the breath, whether it's the rise and fall of the tummy or the feeling of the air as it glazes the side of your nostrils. And and just allowing the breath to settle into its natural flow, its natural rhythm. We just become aware of it. And so with the body gentle, spacious, relaxed, connected with our breath, we can turn our awareness now to the internal landscape. Here there is only consciousness, pure awareness, free of judgment, stories, commentary, decision-making. It's just awareness. Your awareness may settle on a sound or focus on a sound inside the house or outside of the house. We simply notice and return to the breath. Your awareness may focus on a bodily sensation, such as an itch or an ache. Again, we just notice and return to the breath. Your awareness may focus on a thought. Those thoughts are like the others. They simply rise and fall, come and go. They have no urgency right now. They have no importance right now. They just come and go like clouds or the cars on the street outside, just passing by. And so now connected with the breath, the body, gentle, easy, spacious, with the mind clear and the heart open, we will begin formally our meditation time. There will be some silence, and then when I begin speaking, it will be a guided meditation to move us through the 6 elements. These are not designed to engage the thinking mind. Perhaps some visualization, but it's not conceptual. There's nothing to think about. Just experience it. Feel it. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are. invite you now to cultivate a meditative state. Let my words be your words as you turn this into a felt experience, as we explore the reality of our interconnectedness with the world, with change, and with flow. First, we call to mind the earth elements within ourselves. Of the 6 elements, we begin with earth. The earth element is everything solid, resistant, everything that gives us form. We notice, first of all, those aspects of the body that you can directly experience, the physical presence and weight of the body itself, the feeling of sitting bones pressing into the cushion or chair, perhaps feeling the aliveness in your hands. Simply notice the experience of solidness, of form. We can call to mind the skin, the flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, the diaphragm, every other conceivable solid matter in the body. And rather than starting trains of thought about these various organs of the body, we can simply think more in terms of just visualizing the organs, simply knowing that they are there and that they are composed of solid matter. Perhaps you can feel the heart beating in your chest, in this place of stillness. Having reflected on the earth element within, we now call to mind the earth element externally. Everything that is solid and resistant outside of ourselves, starting with the chair or the cushion or the floor that we are sitting upon now. Expanding outward to recall buildings, your house, your neighbors' houses, buildings around you, vehicles, roads, mountains, rocks, pebbles, soil, the bodies of other beings, trees, flowers, crops growing in the field. We are not trying to start a train of thought, but simply aim to evoke memories in the form of sensory impressions, letting images, sounds, tactile sensations come into consciousness and mindfully experiencing them. And now we reflect that everything solid within the body and everything solid externally are the same earth elements. There's really no me earth element or other earth element. It is all the same stuff. We normally think of our form or our body as being us, as being ourselves. But here we recollect how everything of the earth element that is within us comes from outside of us and returns outside of us. Even as an embryo in your mother's womb, the embryo absorbs nutrients from the world outside, from the mother's bloodstream, but ultimately from the plants and animals that she consumed. Those foods were not me either. And from that point on in my life, every molecule that has contributed to the earth element in this body, has come from the outside. We can visualize the flow of the earth element from fields, soil, rain, and sun into the body, and know that there is not a single molecule of solid matter within this body that is self-originated. It is all borrowed. And eventually, we give it back. In fact, we are giving it back every moment of our lives. The earth element within us is returning to the outside world right now as we shed hair and skin cells, go to the bathroom. Even our bones, which we may think of as the most solid and enduring part of the body, are involved in a continuous process of dissolving and rebuilding. And so the earth element within is borrowed, and it's always returning to the outside world, flowing through us like a river. As we recollect the earth element flowing in this way, we can reflect that this is not me, it is not mine, and I am not this. There's no question of letting go. The earth element never was us. It never was ours. We never were holding on to it, because how can we cling to something that is flowing? It's like trying to grab a river. And now the earth element provides us with the template, the paradigm for the remaining physical elements, which are all treated in the same way. We will reflect upon the element within us, reflect upon that element outside of us, and reflect that everything that is us is really just borrowed from the outside world and constantly returning to it. In this way, we realize that we are not a thing, we are not a person, we are a beautiful process that is constantly unfolding. Next, we bring to mind the element of water. So we call to mind the water element within the body, that which is liquid, starting with those manifestations that we can directly experience. We feel the saliva in the mouth, mucus, the pulse of the blood, sweat, or even the feeling of moisture in the out-breath. And then we move on to those things that we can only experience more imaginatively, such as fat, fluids in the joints, cerebrospinal fluids, and all the liquid that permeates and surrounds every cell in the body. Even though you cannot experience these things directly, you can know that they are there. Even when we swallow, we can sense the manifestation of water, tears. And then we contemplate the water element outside of ourselves, calling to mind the oceans, the rivers, the streams, the water that permeates the soil, the rain, the clouds, the water inside plants and animals. We see, hear, and feel these things as we recall our own experience of them. And from there, we can recognize that all of the water within the body, which we think of as us, as ourselves, is in reality simply borrowed for a while from the outside world. It is quite literally flowing through us, and that we do not own it. There is only one water element. There is no me water, and then there is no other water. And so we reflect that with the water element, this is not me, this is not mine, and I am not this. Again, helping us to better realize that we are a process, a being of light, only borrowing these things from the earth for a few years. And a conscious breath, holding for a moment and releasing, ventilating this precious human form. We move now to the element of fire. The Buddha defined the fire element as that by which one is warmed, ages, and is consumed, and that by which what is eaten gets completely digested. In other words, the fire element within is metabolism. It is our energy. Even sitting here and now, we can experience the heat of the body, feeling the cooler air we inhale contrasted with the warmth of the air as it leaves the body, the feeling of the heart pumping, calling to mind the numerous chemical combustions taking place at the cellular level, sparks of electricity in the muscles, nerves, and brain, and knowing that all of this energy is borrowed from the fire element outside of us. The fire element outside is the raw physical energy of the universe, from nuclear fusion in the sun to the warmth of a cup of coffee in the morning. From the molten core of our planet to the chemical energy stored in our food as fat, sugars, and proteins. We feed the body by taking in the sun's energy stored in plants or flesh. We warm ourselves in the rays of the sun, either directly or through burning fossil fuels that grew in the sunlight of ages past. And we have to keep replenishing the body's fuel because the fire element is forever leaving us, radiating from our skin, wafting away on our exhaled air, lost in the warmth of, for example, your pillow when you rise in the morning. Turn and touch the pillow and notice its warmth. We observe and reflect on this, and as we observe the energy within the body, we can be aware that it's actually another river, a river of energy, passing through this form that is really not ours at all. This fire element, this is not me. This is not mine. And I am not this. Conscious breath. Releasing slowly. And now we move to the element of air. As soon as we call to mind the air element within the body, the air in our lungs and other body cavities, even the gases dissolved in our blood, we are immediately aware of the breathing, aware that air is flowing rhythmically in and out of the body. So almost simultaneously, we recall the air element outside of us. The air surrounding us, touching the skin at this very moment, the winds, the clouds, the breezes that we hear and see moving, branches and grasses. We're taking in and giving out this element right now. Right now, the air element is entering and leaving the body. Right now, air is entering, oxygen is dissolving in the bloodstream, being taken to cells to provide energy, and carbon dioxide is being released and exhaled. Where are the boundaries between inner air and outer air. There is only one air element, and what's within us is simply borrowed for a few moments. We cannot hold on to the air element any more than we can hold on to any of the others. In fact, we can only live by letting go, never by holding on. To hold on to the air element is to die. And so we reflect on the air element. Like the other physical elements, it is not me, not mine, and I am not this. Conscious breath. Next, we move to the element of space. Space is a strange and different element. It's just there. We can't see it. We can't touch it. We cannot say how far it extends. We cannot even say what, if anything, it's made of. Albert Einstein says that space expands and contracts depending on what velocity we're moving at, and it gets bent out of shape by the presence of solid matter. That's all things that we do not need to engage the mind around, but it helps us to realize that there is one thing that we know about space, which is that there is space that is what we call me, and there's space that we call not me. A human being is a part of a whole called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. A human being experiences him or herself, his or her thoughts, his or her feelings, and something separated from the rest. This is a kind of an optical illusion. But it is a very basic distinction or a delusion that there is an inner world and an outer world. This element of space gives us the opportunity to question all those assumptions. As we are sitting with our eyes closed in meditation, can we feel any sharp division between me space and not me space? Even when I'm sitting absolutely still, I am moving. The planet is spinning on its axis and revolving around the sun. Space is not really divided into me space and not me space. It's all one space and it flows through us. Space is just borrowed. We cannot own it. It is not me, not mine, and I am not this. Conscious breath. Which brings us to the final element of consciousness. Somehow in the evolution of the material universe, life has arisen, and in the evolution of life, consciousness has come into being. Perhaps we could say that consciousness is the other elements all knowing themselves. The Buddha introduces the element of consciousness in this way. And then there remains only consciousness, bright and pure. We have started to realize at this stage of the practice that there's nothing that we can grasp a hold of, and so our mind now turns its attention to itself, the grasper, the one wanting to hold on to things. In this stage of the practice, we notice and reflect upon the way in which sensations, thoughts, images, emotions, habitual patterns of speech and behavior all come into being. They persist for a short while and then vanish into emptiness. None of them is permanent. All of them are simply passing through us in the same way that the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and the space elements are flowing through our physical form. So these elements of consciousness are not intrinsic to us, are not a fixed part of us, and are not us. Just as there is nothing we can grasp, there is no one ultimately to do any grasping. When feelings of fear or discomfort arise in the practice, as they sometimes do, we treat them in just this way, experiencing the feelings in a non-attached way, surrounding them with mindfulness and loving kindness, and realizing that they are not a part of us. Having explained that the contents of consciousness are either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, they simply arise and pass and cannot be clung to. There remains, in the words of the sutra, only equanimity, purified, bright, and radiant. So with the question, what are we? What arises is a sense that we are the universe. The universe become aware of itself, that we are nothing more than consciousness, living energy, that the mind is inherently pure, luminous, wise, and loving, and that we are beginning to know our intrinsic nature, which is emptiness. What I normally assume to be a relatively fixed and solid physical form is actually a beautiful dynamic process. There's a sense now of curiosity, wonder, and openness. The world is more alive. We are less attached to our physical form, and our sense of identification has expanded outward. Everything that has ever passed through this body, the solid matter, the air, the water, the energy, is now out there in the form of fields, clouds, forests, and soil. In a way, those things all are me. And because this very body is made of the same things, I am them. I am no longer separate and small, but an intimate part of the vast cycle of the elements. To live is to let go. And in order to live fully, we must learn to let go fully and to embrace the flow that is the universe, to embrace the truth of who we are, which is the world. So I invite you to take a conscious breath. Hold that breath for a moment and releasing slowly. And may the merit that has accrued from our being together this morning, may it be for the benefit of all beings. May all beings come to awakening, not one left behind. And with the palms of our hands together in front of our hearts, as we go forth from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste. Everyone for joining us here in Earth Festival 2020. It has been my honor and privilege to be a part of this amazing event. If you'd like to know more about Temple Buddhist Center or chat with me about today's 6-element meditation, I will share with you that much of what I took from the 6-element meditation was written by Bodhisattva. That is, you can find some of his writings on a website called Wildflower, I believe. And so I'm sorry, Wild Mind by Bodhipaxa. So, and I threw in a few of my own things here and there. If you have any questions, oh, it looks like we have someone chime in. We have just a few moments, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Oh, hi, Whitney. Thank you so much for coming and attending. And again, thank you all so much. You can contact me at Temple Buddhist Center, and by just coming to our website, templebuddhistcenter.com, or by stopping by our Facebook page at Temple Buddhist Center. We're located in Kansas City, Missouri, and I would love to hear from all of you. And as you go into your day-to-day, I wish you peace and blessings. And again, happy Earth Day to everyone. Looks like we have a few more questions and answers. We just have a minute. Hi, Taylor. You're certainly welcome. Thank you for coming today, and happy Earth Day and blessings to you as well. These are very nice. Thank you. Don't forget, friends, there are many more wonderful activities going on for EarthFest 2020. Just stop by the main page and see what's happening. There's a wonderful presentation today at 3 by Bob on building a home forest. And then tonight, American Public Square is doing a debate regarding climate issues. So hi, Susan. Thank you. You're certainly welcome. Yes. Thank you for coming. Oh, and thank you for coming to our Sunday services too. Hi, Beth. Oh, good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Hi, Betty. Nice to hear from you. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, it is. I agree. The Unity Temple here in Kansas City is truly an icon and a blessing for everyone. They are so open, loving, and kind here to all beings. These are delightful. Thank you, everyone. And of course, thank you so much, Bob Grove, for all of your hard work in putting together EarthFest 2020 and for being the moderator and um, video tech guy, I guess. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Peace and blessings.